So this person sent me their palm for analysis, and all I know about this person is that they are male and that they are 28. And the first things I notice about this person's palm, I mean, the thread getting system doesn't really work here, so this is certainly a conic hand. All the features are very rounded and soft. There is no sort of sharp, hard angle seen anywhere in the palm. This is the first thing I notice about this person's palm. They are artistically motivated. They're sensitive, sensual, and probably quite ambitious as well, judging by just how the palm looks, how it would feel. There's other indications here as well that would suggest that the lifeline starts up in Jupiter as well, and overall is a kind of a fireish element going on here with the hand. The second thing I notice about this person's palm is the heart line. It's quite straight, it tapers up off into Jupiter, and also it's quite low set as well. I believe this person is a good listener. I think their instincts are quite good when it comes to understanding people and reading between the lines, reading the room, understanding people's emotions. I think this person is probably quite emotionally intelligent. And there's certainly a link here already with this person's sensitive side and their creative nature. They're, generally speaking, a bit of an artist. They're very creative in whatever it is they do. The third thing I notice is the bulbous Apollo and especially Saturn fingers. And I'm going to get around to explaining what this means. Also, there's a whirl seen here on Apollo, which certainly shows an artistic side. Again, this shows an artistic flair, an appreciation and an understanding for artistic beauty. But more than that, instincts and insights into fashion trends, colors, textures, shapes, trends in general, really. So I'll get around to explaining that. The fourth thing I want to point out is this wonderful headline. That's just a fantastic curve. That's an ideal curve for any creative. Again, this shows a strength in creativity. And I think a lot of people get creativity confused with imagination. It certainly stretches deeply into lunar, not too deeply, not too low. It's the perfect arc to a headline for anyone utilizing creativity, and I would be disappointed if this person isn't utilizing their creativity. So I'll get around to explaining that. Pluto is heavy. It's well developed. So there's an extra bank of creativity. And as well as that, there is, if we look really closely, an apex here on Luna, low down on Luna, just above Pluto. That's interesting, so I'll explain what that means at number 5. And the sixth thing, logic here, that this person's ideas are strong. However, there does seem to be quite a lot of stress and tension at this time in this person's career. And on the subject of career, for number 7, I want to talk about this person's career, what I think this might be, and where it's going. Following on from this person's career, I want to touch on their success. It seems relevant. And I think that's probably about everything I'm going to go into here. I mean, you know me, I like to just go off on a tangent anyway, so there's no point making it take longer than it needs to. So let's talk about, that's meant to be a number 1. The conic hand itself is generally an impatient person. They don't like to feel that time is being wasted. You can feel the hand if it's springy and bounces back, very resilient with the texture of the skin. You know that they are very sort of ambitious. And when a conic hand has a lengthy Mercury like this, they generally have good powers of persuasion because of this kind of motivated attitude that it's infectious, and so other people become inspired by them and believe that it was their own idea when they set about doing something. But actually, the conic hand with strong abilities to communicate and persuade have actually managed to bend them to their will. In the extreme, which I wouldn't say this is an extreme Conic hand, they can be overpowering. They can be the center of attention and demand to be that at all times. But in a good, healthy, and strong sense, a Conic hand would make especially this one, would make a sensational salesman. Generally speaking, this person, in whatever it is they do, they are quite creative. They're not afraid. In fact, that's a key thing here. They're actually quite adventurous, quite brave, because they're never afraid to say, "What if? Let's try this out. What's the worst that can happen?" The second thing I want to mention here is the straight heart line. It does tend to curl up towards Jupiter here. We've certainly got this adds quite a complex layer to this person's character, and it makes them quite sort of psychologically complex. Their relationship needs are not straightforwards. They require privacy and emotional, psychological intimacy rather than physical. They're more likely to be aroused psychologically than with sort of typical visual stimuli. They're very idealistic in their expectations in a relationship, and that's likely due to an experience they had around the age of maybe 20, something like that. Seems to have shaped them into the person they are. Their heart line is quite low set, and I think this adds to their abilities to understand others and know what needs to be said in sensitive situations, probably quite gifted listeners. And here we can also see an intuition or sympathy line, which adds to this complexity and sensitivity. This person is certainly able to make decisions outside of their emotions. They're able to separate emotional decisions and what needs to be done. And I mean that in a way that they would make an excellent counselor, really. So that not only are they a good listener, they're intuitive, sympathetic, empathetic, but they understand. There's a good level of understanding and an ability to be impartial and objective when listening and dealing with others. So the third point I wanted to make was the bulbous Apollo and Saturn fingers. This is interesting. So what we know about Apollo and this kind of well-developed and bulbous Apollo shows an appreciation for artistic beauty, all things natural and artistic and beautiful. This person has a flair as well, an artistic flair, a creative flair, an understanding, an instinct with lines, patterns, shapes, colors, textures, smells. They're very good at utilizing their senses. They're probably quite good, probably gifted, in fact, in creating a physical end product or result through the uses of these sort of heightened senses, but these this artistic faculties that the use and understanding of artistic appreciation and putting this into practice. It also shows me artistic appreciation as well, all things beautiful, does sort of point towards this person appreciating the physical form as well. The whirl seen on Apollo is often associated with people who have an understanding with home furnishings and trends to do with style and fashion. I feel like this person is an inspiring and equally inspired person in general. The first phalanx of Saturn represents our interest in the supernatural, and the first phalanx of Apollo represents artistic appreciation, as I've already mentioned. So this this highly and well-developed tip of Saturn. Try not to make a mistake here, because I do think this person has an inherent understanding of right and wrong, an excellent conscience. I think this is the sort of person that surprised adults as a young child, just sort of knowing what the right thing to do was, just sort of a very wise person. There we go, I found the word. Just an inherently wise and good person. I do also wonder at some possible heart issues, and sometimes the kind of normally you see it down here where the fingers bulge, just between on that first knot of the fingers. I'm not convinced this is possible predisposition to heart issues. I think this is more the former. And this well-developed mount of Pluto here, it's interesting to me because Pluto, it's an extra sort of bank of Luna, but it's more watery. And being that the fate line comes from this area, being that we've also got, actually the fate line comes from the apex in itself, that's fascinating. Because this apex on Pluto is a very rare sign. You can quite clearly see the fate line coming from this area, and not much is known about an apex this far down on Luna into actually Pluto itself. It certainly, I think, it spells someone who has an ability to draw on ancestral experiences. So this person's previous, that their ancestors' experiences have somehow lived on through them. They've inherited their traumas and memories in this life. So they're unconsciously, because this is the unconscious part of the palm, they are drawing on these experiences and using them in current day, in everyday life without realizing it, drawing on these experiences. So unconsciously, reflexes are at play when they are just doing simple day-to-day things, and then also in the moments where they're needed to react quickly. And it's possible that sometimes people with an apex like this low down into Pluto itself, have an ability to store memories and vocabulary. It's an extra ability to recall, but from a depth that's not usual. They might well have memories from when they were extremely young. Not much is known about it, but just getting back to this sort of heavy, low-hanging heel here, this well-developed heel of Pluto, it can be seen as an over sort of fascination with water, and this can sometimes, and this is not necessarily my belief here, but it has been said that it can sometimes lead to an over fascination with water in general, and that's all things from the sea to bodily fluids. So I'm not completely convinced I get that, but it is also said to be indicative of someone who has a strong understanding of their own body, a strong understanding of nature in itself, and we already know about this person that they have an appreciation for artistic beauty, natural beauty. We already know that they are creative as well, as I've said, with this superb and creative headline. And maybe I skipped number 4 here, I'm not sure. I'm looking at my notes, but I don't know if I've already skipped it. But I'll just touch on it briefly. The headline itself is long, and as I've said, it's a wonderful and creative curve. It reaches into Luna, into memory, this place of memory, but also planning. I've got to say, it's the ideal place for a headline to end, really, to stop, to the destination of the headline is in the perfect place, because not only is it memory, planning, it's creativity and motivation as well. It's all of the right things. Because a headline that's too high up, well, that wouldn't be too high, concentrates too much on the material, and a headline that's too far down concentrates on too much of the immaterial, the unpractical, the fantastical, the unreal. So here we have a very practical and pragmatic person. And number 6, the thumb, the ideas that this person has are exceptional. The thumb itself is just a fantastic thumb. I mean, the overall length of it is, you can tell this person is a deep thinker. And I get the impression that they like to talk on deep and meaningful topics, and that's certainly evident with this bulbous Saturn finger. But I think they're under quite a lot of stress at the moment. I think they probably put too much onto themselves. They're working too hard. There's quite a bit of stress there, and I don't think it's necessarily mental. I think they're probably putting a bit too much stress on their own bodies here. Now, this incident here, I don't know what it was, but it's highly impactful, and as I've already said, it has shaped them as a person. It's one of these moments in life that they'll never forget, and there's an anger, a sense of anger, maybe shame even, or regret about this incident, disappointment. Someone has done them wrong, I feel, and it's really upset them. That minimizes things. That word really upsets them, because they really have been hurt. And I think this line coming in from over here is what's known as what's this called, the matriarch line, I believe. I think that's what this is here. I think this person really loves their mother, and I'm wondering that, being that this and this are actually all kind of attached, there's a connection. So I wonder if this incident had something to do with their mother. I don't know. I don't quite understand. It could be that I don't think that they lost their mother. Maybe they did. Maybe that's what's happened here. And there's a very strong attachment, a strong bond with their mother, I believe, if I'm getting this line right in any case. So I've tangented, as I said I would. I've gone off course. So number 7, this fate line here that starts down on this apex, which is curious. It's almost as though, because they say in Tibetan palmistry that a fate line that starts low down into lunar, and actually this is Pluto, which is certainly low, is someone who has come back from a past life with unfinished business, someone with drive and purpose. And we already know that about this person. As I've said, their lifeline starts up on lunar. This is someone who is driven to make something of themselves. A fate line or career line that curves out, that begins outwards like this from the heel of the palm and carves itself upwards onto Saturn, is certainly someone that desires or has a role, a position in life where they are working for or with others in the public eye in some way. Now, as I've already stated, this person is an artistic person of an artistic nature, a creative person in everything that they do. They're a strong communicator. They'd make a good salesman. They have appreciation and artistic understanding in areas of natural beauty. So, having seen this as well, and with this well-developed heel of Pluto here, this understanding of their own body, and as I've said, it's an understanding and a sort of fascination with water. The reason why those two things are linked is because we're mostly made of water, and so when we have a deep understanding of our bodies and how they work, it would seem impossible not to have an understanding of that element. So it's intriguing to me, and I wonder if this person, they could have a career in several of the following: fashion, They could have been a dancer or a choreographer, but a career, as I've said, not just for others, but with others as well. And as I've said, this person is understanding, sympathetic, a good listener. It could be that simply this person has an ability to be any of the things that I've mentioned, but is in actual fact working in the care sector in some way. So, or it could be that they have done all of the above, or have had an interest or trained in one, but now is actually the other, something like that. So I know I said a few things here, but I'm going to go with that. Choreographer, involved in fashion and or the care sector. And I know that's a few different things, but they're specific enough. And well, really, the purpose of these readings isn't to determine someone's career. It's just something I like to do. Now, number 8, this is something I really wanted to get around to because I like to end on a positive note. I'm going to talk about the success line and why this is important. The success line is coming from Luna. It's coming, or at least it's coming from outer Mars, but it's certainly indicating that it's hinting towards coming from the outside, the ulnar or the percussion side of the palm. And it shows us that success comes from working in the public eye, from working with some sort of audience, from gaining success and achievement from um, the um, from the validation of others. But what's interesting about the success line here is that it appears to have some influence from the family in two separate places, here and here. And it's from this influence that success begins. And it's quite rare, actually, to see a success line that stems from beneath the heart line. And this shows that the ambitions of the person is probably not realized until their middle years. But what I really enjoyed seeing about this person's palm was that on the left, you see the success line here, and on the right, it appears stronger. The fate line mirrors this effect as well. So just have a look at the fate line here. Just soak that up here. Look at how thin this fate line is. There's a square here. So at the age of around about 36, this person, this person feels there needs to be some security around their position there. And as I've said, they're kind of stressed at the moment in their job. They're a bit worried about their working. Yeah, you can see it here. That's kind of a bulbous second phalanx of the thumb. And I mentioned that they're not necessarily mentally stressed, but actually I've changed my mind about that. I think they are. But all will be well. As I've said, I like to end on a good note here. Yes, there will be some turbulence around early 30s, right up to mid 30s. There'll be some turbulence around their career. However, shortly after this time, success will begin. And I believe this person will achieve quite a good, reputation amongst their peers. Success is what matters to an individual. It's not necessarily academic achievements. It's not necessarily money. It depends on the individual. And for this person, their reputation certainly matters, and glory matters. Achieving something to them doesn't necessarily mean money. And I do believe that they will become successful in terms of what they feel success is. I believe that this is a good-natured person. Generally speaking, there's a lot of good in this hand. I think they're quite a family-orientated person. And we can see the family ring here is unfortunately broken here. And I do believe that this is linked to this occurrence that was perhaps around the age of about 21-ish, I believe. And as I say, it shaped them as a person. But I want to end on that good note, and that is that happiness is coming, and they will achieve and rise to those higher heights that they have always wanted and felt that they should. So I hope that's I hope it's been an interesting one for you. If you've got any comments, please chuck them underneath, and like and subscribe. And if you want me to read your palm, I'm happy to, but please be aware these readings take me about 3 hours to do, and I just don't have the time, unfortunately. All my spare time is taken doing these things rather than cleaning the house and other things I should be doing. So I enjoy doing it, and I'm here, to help. It's not completely selfless because I'm hoping to make some money on YouTube at some point. So in order to do that, please help me and share my stuff, like it, and subscribe. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.